Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Here's What I Think with your host, Charles Tabans, who will discuss everything from current events, economics, politics, and how it all relates to business and life. And today we have a hell of a show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel if you haven't already. Let's get into this topic today because this is something I'm going to deeply enjoy here. As you guys know, Donald Trump has just won office. He's been reelected. He's going to have another 4 terms in office, and a lot of people are excited about that, right? And I want to talk about some comments that I came across earlier today from Valuetainment. Patrick Bet-David, you know, he's a Republican, or at least that's what I think. He supported Trump, even had Trump on the PBD podcast. So he's very excited that Donald Trump won. But before I get into what PBD had to say, I want to give you guys a quick story that something interesting that happened just this Sunday. So just this Sunday, my father was in town, so we were spending some time with himself, my wife, my daughter, got a chance to hang out with his granddaughter. So I actually have a lot of siblings living in the United States, some in Texas, a bunch of them in New York, right? So he was taking 2 of my younger sisters who were twins. He was taking them to college there in Pennsylvania, funny enough. So we were talking about that, and I was asking him, so how was it in New York? Because I haven't been to New York since 2019. It's been a long time, but I'll be moving back to the States next year with my family, and I'm, super excited about that. We're just kind of finalizing where exactly we want to move to. So I was asking him, so what is it? No, I'm going to be in New York, be in the States a few times before that next year. But anyway, so I was asking him, I was like, so what was it like? What was it like? I haven't been to the States in a very, very long time. What's it like? And he goes, man, it's rough out there. And my dad is a entrepreneur, does very well for himself and all of that. And he goes, man, it was rough out there. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, I can understand people that were complaining that, say that they wanted to vote for Trump because things were rough. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, things are expensive. I'm like, how expensive? He goes, I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I ordered a coffee. And he was like, I paid $4 or $5. He said that to me and I almost fell out of my chair. I said, what? $4 or $5 for coffee? Are you even? He was like, that's not even Starbucks. I'm like, what? He was like, I went to McDonald's before you could get like a meal, like what, Big Mac, what, $4.99, something like. He's like, now you walk to McDonald's, you're not spending anything less than 10 to 12. I was like, oh, so he's like, things are really, really hard for some people out there. He was like, it's crazy, right? The amount of money, how much things cost today in the United States. I was like, woo, that's crazy. So we talked about it. Then what happened? So I came home and I came across this pretty interesting this segment from PBD show. And I think that it's a very, very important one that I think a lot of you should hear. And he said in the title, what to expect now from Donald Trump that he's won the election. So what we want to do is, and the thumbnail says, New American Golden Age. So what we want to do is we're going to play some of what Patrick Bet-David had to say about what you can expect from a Trump White House, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
For an expanding American economy.
What's the point? The next 4 years, go to 2028, because here's how it is. Last night, everybody's arriving at 6 o'clock, okay, at this event. I told everybody, like this, it's going to be 2 o'clock, the event's over with. You know how quickly it happened? Felt like 30 seconds on how it was over with. Right now, it's 2024, November 6th. Last night, he won. Early this morning, they announced he won. It's over with, right? You know how quickly it's going to be November 6th, 2028? Like this. By November 6th, 2028, what will happen to you and your family? Where are you going to be with your current job? You're going to get a promotion? Are you going to be a manager? Are you going to be contributing more? What are you going to do with all the taxes that now it's coming back? What are you going to do with all the stuff that's going to change with the interest rate? Potentially, if it happens, the stock markets right now reacted just today. If I look at day after the election, the way the market has reacted, Dow is up 3.57%. S&P is up 2.53%, almost at 6,000 for the first time. NASDAQ up 3%. Bitcoin is at $76,000. This is just one day. Dollar got stronger just today. Everyone's talking about where this is going to go. Business planning for you, alliances, partnerships, relationships. Like I remember when I only had $3,000 in the bank with $49,000 in debt, and a crisis happened or an opportunity happened. I said, listen, within 4 years, I want to pay off my $49,000, and I'd like to have $50,000 in the bank. 4 years later, paid off my debt. I had $50,000 in the bank. That was a big milestone for me. I'll never forget the first time I had $10,000 in the bank. I'm like, I have $10,000 in savings. I have $25,000 in savings. I have $50,000 in savings. This whole thing that happened, if you don't put a plan together for you, your wife, your kids, your family, where you're going to be in 4 years, It's a waste of an opportunity. It means nothing. It's just a guy who won, who's celebrating, and a lot of people are capitalizing off of it. And if you sit around in 2028, you're in the same position as you are today, this was a wasted opportunity for you. Everything is now about planning, capitalizing, and finding a way to recreating yourself. So by 2028, when you look back and it goes like this, you say, man, I'm glad I capitalized off of that, because the reality of it is, you know how many people won't? 90% of people won't do anything. They'll be in the same place. You can lower taxes. You can raise every opportunity. There's going to be 90% of people that are going to do nothing with it. My challenge to you is to be part of the 10%. And for some of you guys that are fully crazy, go be part of the 1%.
So you heard what Patrick Bet-David had to say. Some of you listening to this show and listen to what he just said may be confused about how to feel about what he said. There are a lot of people that are excited that should be, and there are a lot of people that are excited that shouldn't be excited. Let me explain to you essentially what Patrick Bet-David is talking about. He spoke about the market seeing a jolt. The numbers went up, right? S&P, the Dow, Bitcoin, all of them went up. And it showed the power of Trump being in office. The markets reacted extremely positive to that news. Now, the average voter, or at least let's say the average voter that voted for Trump, would say, man, this is fantastic news. This is great news. And it is great news, but the question is for who? This is the operative question we have to ask. For who? This is fantastic news if you're rich. If you had $2 million in the market, and it jumped, 3%, you're going to make some damn good money. If you had $5 million in the market and it jumped in a day, you're going to make a nice coin, right? Because you're rich and you're doing well for yourself. Now, if you're not rich, or if you don't earn over, let's say, 100,000 or 50,000 or 60,000, you celebrating would be a bit pointless, because the joy that they just experienced, you're not experiencing it. So you're rejoicing for somebody else doing well. So that's the first thing. Let me give you guys some data here. The top 1% of Americans own more than 90%, or have more wealth than the bottom 90%. The top 1% of the world own more wealth than the bottom 95% of the world. I want you guys to think about this carefully, because he explained it in the video. He said it. That this is a golden age to make money and be successful. Patrick Bet-David is 100% correct. 100% correct. If you're well-to-do, if you're ambitious, and you already have a lot of money and you can make money. But if you don't fall into that bracket, if you don't, things will continue to be hard for you. And he said, you can do anything you want to do from a regulatory standpoint or various policies, and only 10% of the people are going to do something, and the other 90% are going to do nothing. This is a fact. This is a fact. So if you have a business in manufacturing, and Trump is proposing a 15% corporate tax rate for those businesses, you'll do well. If you have a business in general, they're going to cut the corporate tax rate from 21 to 20%. You'll do well. So people like us that have businesses that are doing well for themselves, yes, we're going to benefit. It's great news. It's a golden opportunity for us to strive and do better. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. So for us, it's going to do good. But if you believe that by Donald Trump being in office, your bills are going to reduce, you're living in fantasy land. Fantasy land. Peter Pan land. We put up a poll on one of our other channels. It's a sports channel. If you guys don't know, it's called Dreamers Pro, in case there's viewers that may not know that. We put up a poll 12 hours ago, and we asked the following question. Which Trump economic policy will drive down inflation the most in your view? We gave our audience 4 options. Corporate tax cuts, 15% for manufacturing, 20% for everyone else. Tariffs, both will work, none will work. Of the 2,100 voters that voted, 15% said the tax cuts, 10% said the tariffs, 34% said both will work, 42% said none will work, right? Now, the question pertained to inflation. None of these things have anything to do with inflation, the things that I'm mentioning. Patrick Bet-David is not talking about inflation. He's talking about an opportunity to make money. And for that, it is very exciting. It is actually very exciting. If you were looking at investing into the market, this would be a great time to do it. I 100% agree. So people like Patrick Bet-David and all of the richer class and the wealthy, uber wealthy, they're going to do well. If you're earning $200K a year, $300K, $400K, $500K, $850K, $1.5 million a year, you're going to do well. They're going to cut interest rates, so it'll be easier to borrow, easier to invest. It's going to be golden for you. But if you voted in this election believing that if I vote for Donald Trump, all of a sudden it's going to solve all of my problems because my bills are going to go down, you are living in a fantasy world. That is the reason why I said before the election, even before election day, I never and will never put my hope and trust in a politician or in a particular administration at all. Regardless if Trump won, regardless if Kamala won, I knew I still had to figure out my own life for myself. If Donald Trump won, I wasn't going to become rich all on my own. I got to go figure it out. If Kamala won, I wasn't going to become rich. And if you're one of those people that votes for a politician expecting them to change your life, you're going to be in for a very, very rude awakening because it's not. And Trump is going to have a very good response to people if things are, if the price, he's going to say, but I gave you guys one of the best economies. I gave you guys so much opportunity. And if you didn't do anything with it, how is that my fault? And he would be right. So I just think people need to be clear about what all of this really means. Patrick Bet-David is 100% correct. He is talking about making moolah. And moolah will be made. The day the stock markets went up, people made billions of dollars. Elon Musk grew his net worth by $15 billion alone, him by himself, just by Trump being reelected. So if you're part of that, you're going to be feeling damn good. But if you're not, and you expect something special to happen, I wish you all the best. It's going to be a very tough 4 years for you. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show.